Darby, welcome to episode number 7 of Jagged Parts. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
So, tons I want to talk to you about today, but let's start off with a bit of an origin story. Where were you born? Where did you grow up? How did you get into this industry?
All right. Well, I'm Darby Steeves. I was born in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, about 50 kilometers east of here. And I grew up dancing at Peggy Pete's School of Dance in Maple Ridge. So I danced for the first 13 years of my performing arts career at the age of 4. So
You started at 4?
Yes. And
Was that something that was your choice, or your parents forced you into it?
I would say, well,
Forced is too strong a word, but you know what I mean. A lot of parents kind of put their kids in dance or music.
yeah, I wouldn't say I had a knack for it. When I was 2, my mom took me to get my first set of headshots and
Okay.
took me to an agency. And I was a pretty shy individual at the age of 2. And I walked into the agency, and I didn't walk in, sorry, she carried me in. And we sat down, and the moment we got there, I took a look at Gary Dirksen of Real Kids Talent, and I just started crying the whole meeting. And
Oh,
he was
really?
like, maybe she's not ready. So
Aw.
that was kind of my... I was not a graceful dancer. Like, I know Callie, right, who was on,
Mhm.
yeah, she mentioned in her episode that she was in front and like the best, and she thrived off of that. I was the exact opposite. I was dead back of every class, and I think that really served me in the industry because nothing came naturally to me, and I was forced into a proper work ethic right off the bat, and that if I wanted to be there and I wanted to continue to compete as a dancer, I would need to step up my game. So I'm one of those who I'm in it for the long haul. Like, it took me all 12 years to succeed in my 13th year of dance and go to provincials and get a scholarship for college through dance.
Oh, wow.
And head down to the States. But it took me a long time, and that was at first obviously very frustrating. And in acting it was the same. It's like I went to college for musical theater and then immediately transitioned to acting right after graduation, and I was right at the bottom again. Nothing came easy, and I had to really work for it. And although, like I said, in the moment, it was very frustrating, but it brought out the quality in my work that I don't think I could have gotten to if it came naturally.
Right. Well, you probably developed a very good work ethic because of that, right?
Had to.
Which, I find, and we'll definitely kind of get into this a bit more, but like, I find talent is a very nebulous concept, right?
Yeah.
What is talent? I mean, for sure, I think everyone has a natural proclivity towards stuff, but then that's just a starting point, really. If you don't build on it, then, someone who's going to work harder and dedicate themselves is just going to win long term. So you're dancing for a few years, you're working hard, you're competing. So what kind of, is this contemporary dance? What kind of dance styles were you?
Probably everything but. Like,
Okay.
I remember distinctly in LA, I was taking a class at Edge, and one of the exercises was I had to slide across the floor on my face.
Slide on your face?
Yeah, you had to keep your cheek connected to the floor, and I was like, in that moment, I was like, contemporary dance is not for me. So I was more of a tapper. That
Okay.
was my big thing. That's why musical theater it came so easily to me. So made my mark as a tapper, went to provincials for it, and did all the other stuff like ballet, which I think for my posture nowadays, and everything else across the board that North America has to offer.
Okay. So, and then when you finished high school, you said you got a scholarship to go to theater school. Where did you go?
Yeah, I went to AMDA, the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in Los Angeles.
Great.
So I did my first 2 semesters there, and then they had you had the opportunity to finish your program in New York City at their sister campus.
Okay.
So I took that opportunity and did my second half in New York, got a taste of both major American cities, for the industry at least, and decided that I love Los Angeles. That's where I should be, and moved on to acting from there.
What were the so it was a music, so what was the program exactly? Was it a musical theater program?
Correct. So you split your time evenly between dancing, singing, and acting. So you get a taste of everything, and you become a certified triple threat, in essence. And they are one of the original musical theater colleges in America, starting in New York City, and like they were the original like Broadway training program.
Okay.
And so,
was that your goal? Initial goal?
Initially, I knew when I graduated high school, all I was really good at was dance. So I auditioned as a dancer, and then when I I flew down to Los Angeles for the audition, and I was accepted. And then I got to talking to one of the current students, and I realized there was much more to this school than just dance. It's one of the top dance academies in LA, and it's what dance agents look for, graduates from there. And so I was just excited for that, but I switched my program just a month before. I video auditioned for the other 2 disciplines, being acting and singing, and got switch made. So I really got to experience the school for all it had to offer.
Okay. Did you find that, so was that the point where you found that maybe, you love dance, but you want to focus a bit more on acting once you're done?
Yes, and I didn't really move to acting until I moved to New York, funny enough. But I had sustained a lot of injuries over the course of my 13 years in Canada as a dancer, and then just a couple more happened while I was in the States, and I realized I was about 19, and I was like, I can't rely on my body to form this career properly. So I thought acting was the next sustainable option that I could really enjoy.
Acting's amazing.
It
act
really
till you're
is.
dead.
But I was nervous about acting as well. I was like, I have no idea how to monetize this.
Right.
But I met an amazing instructor in New York, Jason Chayet, who's also a director over there, and he took a liking to me and really sat me down and helped me understand everything that was gray, and really showed me how he navigated the business, and it finally clicked. Like a couple weeks before graduation, I was like, I need to get back to Los Angeles tomorrow. So that's what I did.
Interesting. So what was the experience like, the differences between LA and New York, first within the school and then just the city, obviously? Sure.
Yes. The Los Angeles campus is much newer. It's about 15 years old now. It's a fabulous program over there. They're really gearing students towards working in the film and television industry, whether it's movie musicals like La La Land, or dancing commercially and working on shows in Vegas, and then obviously acting and film and television. And then in New York, they're gearing individuals to be ready for stage work, because there is much more opportunity to work professionally in theater in New York than there's in Los Angeles. And that school is about 54 years old now. So their program is very classic in terms of training, especially the musical theater program. So they have a system that works and is really respected among the New York community as far as Broadway is concerned. So, and as far as the industries, I have a soft spot for Los Angeles. I just love the people there, and I find the industry easier to navigate because I was gearing more towards film and television when it came time to actually work in the industry. I love the energy of New York City as well, and the people are very genuine, very sweet. You know, I don't know if it's still a stereotype or not, but the whole, like, New Yorkers are very gruff and tough. Not true. It's the tourists that are frustrated. Have you been to New York City?
Yeah, I have.
Okay, so you know.
Yeah, I mean, also I find, listen, New York is full of people from everywhere, right? So, yeah, for sure, I think if you live there for a while, you develop a fast-paced lifestyle, and that's the only part that I found maybe people can, they don't have time to chat all the time, and they're, it's a big city and they're just busy, right? Getting from home to work and navigating the city. But yeah, I don't find New Yorkers to be rude or anything.
No.
Okay, so you're in New York, then you decide to come back to LA because that you want to work more in film and TV. So is that where you ended up graduating from?
No, so I did 2 semesters in LA, 2 semesters in New York, graduated from New York, and then got my OPT. And
is that the 1 year you get after your visa, your student visa? Okay.
So anyone who studies in the States, you get 1 year to work in your field of study.
Right.
So and fortunately, because I did the triple threat program, I could work as a dancer, a singer, or an actor, or all 3.
Oh,
and
cool.
So it was a very good choice, and I really appreciate my college counselor who pushed me to move over.
Yeah.
And
did they have a good career counseling department?
They did, yeah.
Industry liaison?
Yes. So there were so many networking opportunities through the college. That was one of the draws of this school and going to school in the States, where you could go to many wonderful schools in Canada and America, but because they're right in the middle of Los Angeles, right in the middle of Manhattan,
right.
you were forced to grow good networking habits and just meet so many awesome people.
Yeah.
I forget what the question was.
Oh, just that so it sounds like they did have a good just industry liaison, industry relations.
Oh, yes, absolutely. There were many opportunities to work immediately after.
Oh, okay. So you graduate, you have the 1 year visa. Did they help you find an agency there?
Yes, so they have, unfortunately, I graduated in New York, so they have an industry night at the end. So you perform in front of...
Like a showcase?
Yeah, so you perform in front of many reputable agencies.
Yeah.
But I wasn't a strong singer, so I didn't end up with a musical theater agent at the end of my New York experience, which is mostly who comes to watch these events. So I was back in LA fresh. I actually found my agent in LA through one of my acting coaches.
Okay.
So there's no one, and just because you graduate and do your showcase in one city doesn't mean you get an agent.
Right.
You have to still work your butt off and
right.
Prove that you deserve one. And
so let me ask you a question, and this is just something I've heard from different people who've studied in the U.S. Is it when you graduate and you have that 1 year work visa and you're looking to stay on, does it make it harder to find to sign with an agency if you're not a citizen?
You certainly have to know what's coming.
Okay.
If you have a year, that's not enough time. If you are an individual who's going to the States or a completely different country who knows they have a limited amount of time there before they have to prove that they are, there's no other way to say it, talented enough to stay, the government only cares about talent and what it can do for their country. So you have to
so they're quite supportive in terms, and if the agency likes you, they like you, they don't care, they'll get you the paperwork.
Absolutely. It's not the only thing. An agency can't just pull for you. That's one of 3 prongs in which you have to have in order to complete your paperwork. For example, when I was doing mine, I didn't get my O1 after my OPT because I completed my file and I became a member of SAG-AFTRA, which was one of the 3 prongs that anchored you to stay.
Was that because you graduated from American Academy, or did you need a credit? You got a credit.
I worked my butt off to get that.
Yeah.
But then the immigration office, they deducted the SAG-AFTRA qualifier as something that could be counted towards your visa.
Okay.
So it didn't matter if you were part of the union or not. You had to prove otherwise that.
Right.
Anyway, I could spend a whole 3 hours talking about the immigration system.
Yeah, that's a different topic altogether. Okay, so you're there and then you're working. At this point, you're in Los Angeles, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So how many years were you there for?
Just 1. So I spent 10 months in Los Angeles upon moving there for college, and then 9 months in New York City, and then a full year in
So
LA.
a year after you graduated?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what was that experience like?
It was amazing. I loved the girls that I roomed with. All 3 of them were dancers and still are, and they were just hungry professionals. I was pushed every day upon waking up, like, what is everyone doing? Who's auditioning today? Like, and it was very supportive. I remember I did this this series that it ended up not happening, but I was given the day before like 26 pages of script.
Oh wow.
Like, it was ridiculous. And my roommate, my fabulous roommate, came home. She threw on a pot of coffee. She was like, I guess we're staying up all night. Like, there wasn't even
awesome.
a beat. It's just such a supportive
Yeah.
part of the world for this kind of stuff. Like, this art comes first, and it's just such a great environment.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So you had two roommates who were actors, dancers, and
Yes.
you guys all...
Yeah. One of them is killing it in Los Angeles. She's becoming a choreographer for TV.
Oh wow.
And she flies all over the country and choreographs with another wonderful instructor. And then another one of my roommates is in Las Vegas right now. She is opening a new show. Already has opened, so I'm gonna go down and see her on American Thanksgiving, and I'm so stoked. They're just such fabulous performers.
Yeah.
So great.
That's fantastic. So you were there, like, how were auditions there? Any different from here, you found?
There were a lot more.
More?
I was auditioning every day, sometimes 2 or 3 or 4 times a day.
Yeah.
And I was every night banging out headshots and stapling and
Really?
and just preparing.
I guess it's just because they have more shows there. More
I think so. Yeah. Yes. That is it.
It is a numbers game, right?
Absolutely.
At the end of the day.
But Vancouver is consistently growing. It's such a fabulous place to be right now.
It is. I think I was talking to you about this the first time we met. That Vancouver is actually one of the the best city in North America, just in terms of the ratio of number of jobs per actor.
Absolutely.
Because the number of actors here is way smaller than Los Angeles, and actually even way smaller than Toronto.
Makes sense.
Like just the ACTRA membership is 1/4 the size here as from compared to Toronto.
Right. Yeah.
So it's a good place to be.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's a good transition into you're back in Vancouver. And when was that? When did you return?
That was February of 2016.
Okay. And so you're back in Vancouver, and I remember you mentioning to me that you were working with your brother on something as well, right? So
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, like, I landed in Canada, and immediately, like, I saw my brother for the first time. He's like, all right, I have this idea. And
So he's an actor dancer as well?
no.
Oh no.
Oh no, he's a business guy.
Oh, really?
He works in the tech industry, highly trained, individual. Like, he is so smart. And he is a writer.
Okay.
So he wrote this play, and it was a similar concept to a play called Sleep No More in New York.
Okay.
And basically, it's an immersive theater experience.
Is it the one where the audience goes through a hotel? I've heard about that. Okay,
That's
go
the
on.
one. Oh, I have to see it every time I go to New York. It's so cool. So we wanted to, like, because his industry, everything is on the computer. You don't
Right.
interact always face to face. So and going to a play, traditionally you sit in the audience, you're entertained for 2 to 3 hours, and then you leave. You don't interact. You can just sit back and fall asleep if you so choose. But he loved the idea that you're forced to participate, even if you're not like a theater individual or someone who acts all the time. It's great to be a part of it and to, like, participate.
Yeah.
So it was. We had a rotating cast,
Okay.
and it was set on the streets of Gastown.
Oh, cool.
So we had an audience, and that would follow us through. There were 2 actors every night. So
What was the story? What was the play about?
there were 2 friends who had parted for about 5 years.
Okay.
And they met each other again. And the woman, she was having troubles with her boyfriend, and the guy in the play was her old neighbor, kind of like the nerdy, shyer boy next door who never took his chance with her, never asked her out.
Yeah.
And so it's basically him kind of coaching her through this difficult relationship. Well, not like, he's still very clearly in love with her, and he's trying to do the friendly thing to just make her happy, whether it's with him or this guy. But he is highly intellectual, and she ends up, like, becoming interested in him, and her boyfriend break up during the process. It's very a technically charged play, so it was all on the phones, calls.
So is this like through the streets of Gastown?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was
all happens on the streets?
bananas, man.
Do you have to get permits for that?
No, we tried to get every permit possible, but it just wasn't relevant to any category. So they gave us a business permit instead. Okay. And we just didn't hit any of the categories that ding them for a street performance. So it was, we got every permit we could, but none of them seemed to work. So we just paid a bunch of money for a bunch of paper just in case. So so it was cool. It was a great classic love story, very modern. It was very relatable to all generations, so it was super fun. We ended up running for 4 months, which was way too long. Like, we just kept selling out and kept going into October, which was very cold when we started in July.
Wow, that's really cool. And have you guys thought about bringing it back?
We have.
What's it called, by the way?
Surreal Theater.
That's the name of the play?
The play was Surreal Episode 1.
Oh, okay.
So we've bounced ideas around, but we haven't sat down to write.
That's cool. You can do an anthology. It's totally, or episode 1 was that. Episode 2 could be different. Yeah, totally different story, right? Like American Horror Story or whatever.
Absolutely. We had way too much fun with it, so I'm sure we will bring it back.
Copyright that shit right now. SurrealTheaterVancouver.com.
Oh, we have. Don't worry.
Okay. Cool. How did you like working with your brother? Did he act in it?
No. Okay, so it's a love story.
Right.
So
that would be kind of weird. And if you were playing were you playing the love interest?
Absolutely. There were myself and another female actress, Laura Miller.
Laura Carly Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Laura.
Oh, of course. Okay, so she was the other actress.
Okay.
And
she's doing something like that now too. Or she's talking about some
she's
theater.
a wicked trained theater actress, so she's always working. And then we also had Luke Sykes, Lee Shorten, and Corey Bellew. So we all the 5 of us worked great together, and so we just, to keep it fresh and with everyone's scheduling, we just learned the male part, the female part, and then we just paired up for each night that the show ran. So it was always super fun, always different, especially because there were individuals on the streets.
Yeah, it's Gastown. You can have interesting characters there for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
Did they want to join into the immersive experience?
We didn't have a choice. They did. They started talking to us while we were in character, and you just got to roll with it.
Yeah.
I felt, I
mean, that could happen in the story, right? You're on the street. You could have a...
Exactly. And because it wasn't, placed out of time, it was current day, we could just interact. And it was very handy to have, a cast of great improv actors. Right. So it was so much fun.
That's great. I mean, I'm not very familiar with the Vancouver theater scene yet. I know it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's thriving, but it's starting to get there's a lot of companies doing their thing now. It's way smaller than Toronto.
I can imagine.
Toronto is actually the 3rd largest theater scene in the world.
Really?
After New York and London for English-speaking theater.
Of course.
But I keep hearing of newer theater companies coming up. I trained with Aaron Craven at the Working Actors Gym. He has his own company that he does a lot of plays.
Absolutely.
And I think immersive theater is great. I mean, it's a great way to get people involved with theater who maybe might not be a traditionally theater-going audience. Right? I know someone in Toronto. She does only immersive theater, and she will do shows in cars. Like the last show she did was in an auto dealership.
Really?
Like an Audi dealership or something, and then the whole play happens in cars.
Where did the audience sit?
Just they were in the dealership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I buy it. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a road trip scenario,
No, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to watch it, but
fair.
I mean, that idea sold it to me. I'm like, yeah, I'll come watch nice cars and acting.
Absolutely.
I actually auditioned years ago for a immersive theater production of Streetcar Named Desire, and they were doing it in the part of Toronto where you have a lot of back streets and a lot of back alleyways and stairways.
Sure.
Kind of looks like New Orleans.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Yeah, you follow Stanley up the stairway, and then you go into this small 1-bedroom apartment, and where he's like, "Stop!" he starts yelling and like bang pans, and
Yeah.
it was really cool. I didn't get the part, but I watched it and it was really cool.
Absolutely.
You walk along with Stan Lee everywhere, and really, really cool. Awesome. Okay, so I wanted to talk to you a bit more about your experience working in film and TV here. So I know you were working on The Flash. So tell us a bit more about that. What were you doing?
Yeah, so I worked all of season 4 behind the scenes as a stand-in. That was, I wasn't sure if
For those listeners who are not familiar with what a stand-in does, can you quickly explain?
Oh, of course. So I was, I stood in for all white female actresses on the show, enlisted. Anyway, so basically, to be a stand-in in Canada, you have to be a full union member. Which basically means you have on-set training already. So I was fairly new to the industry when I got my first stand-in job 2 years ago, and I was the only stand-in on set. So I was very nervous because I didn't really have anyone to teach me, but the camera department kind of fed me some advice. So I was very lucky. But as a stand-in, you are to watch your actor, and you do all of their blocking, and you are there for the camera and the lighting department specifically. So they test out lighting on you and the camera motion. So you do everything except their lines.
Right. So they can set up the shots.
Yeah.
Before the actors get there.
Yeah. So like you said, if anyone is about to do some stand-in work but doesn't quite know what it's all about, it just means to pay attention and to match your actor as much as possible. And if you are new, show up early and meet the other stand-ins and get their 2 cents on it, because the stand-in community is very giving and very supportive. So it's a great gig. And when I got my job on The Flash, I wasn't certain if I wanted to give up 10 months of auditioning and training. So I ended up doing it, and it was unbelievably invaluable. It was like a second college experience as far as like the big leagues for television is concerned. There's a great cast on The Flash, and I worked directly with Danielle Panabaker, who was so giving with information, and she was so sweet and answered all of my questions about the industry, and it was so beneficial to learn. Like I will never be afraid to step on to any set again because of that.
Yeah.
I probably won't do a standing contract like that again because
it's a long commitment.
It did, yeah. And I mean, like, the dream is to do both,
right?
To make money, and do a
you probably do utility.
Yes.
What they called.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's still a great learning experience and a great gig for the day or a couple days to make some money, pay your rent, and yeah, you're still on an actor's contract through the actors union. So it feels good, makes good money. You learn so much, and you get to meet so many people in the industry. You get to meet directors that you may work with in the future,
right?
And get to know their style, so that when you walk onto their sets, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
So it's lots of fun. Would highly recommend it for any of those new to the union or not new to the union who just want to get out there in a different way.
100%. I mean, I've done a little bit of stand-in, mostly utility, and number one thing is just, you're absorbing all this information, and like you said, you're just on the mark all the time, and it just gives you that relaxation, so that when you're acting, it's just second nature, right? Because what were your top learnings? So top learnings from working on The Flash.
How to work as a unit, as an ensemble, because a lot of the CW shows are ensemble pieces. So how to minimize your blocking if possible. So
what do you mean by minimize your blocking?
Like it's very apparent on The Flash when an actor is a guest star for the day, because all of the regulars, they hardly move. Like Jesse L. Martin.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like Jesse L. Martin has 1 mark per scene. It's a big scene.
What about the action though? That's different.
Like the fighting, like the stunts.
Yeah.
Well, then that's completely different. But like when they're in their like Star Labs set, like all of the regulars stand on their mark.
Why is that?
Because it makes the day faster.
Oh, really? Because they have to move so fast. Oh, wow. So
yeah.
they write scenes that don't require much movement or none at all.
Well, the actors ensure that they don't have to because they're so good,
Yeah.
like technically, so they don't have to move to make the scene work unless they must go and pick up a prop or they must walk to another actor to engage with them. It's like they're so powerful individually that they can perform from their seats. They can perform from standing across the room, and the camera comes to you anyway.
Right.
And because like there are so many, and to get coverage off of 7 people who are pacing is impossible.
Right.
They just don't have the time to film 4-page scenes where everyone is scattering.
Right.
So, like, because I come from a dance background, my instinct is to move and shuffle and use my physicality, but it was so valuable to just be comfortable in the stillness and just not hide behind movement, but to really use the text to drive the scene forward and not rely on movement. Just be the best actor you can without physicality, because they're gonna do close-ups anyway.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I haven't acted on one of those superhero shows, but I did stand in, and it's a lot of text they go through on a daily basis. Yeah, you're right.
You were on Legends, right?
Yeah, Legends.
That's like 15 people.
Yeah,
in every
huge cast, and I mean. It's a genre. It's its own genre, and they have to go through a lot, but the acting still has to be very grounded. Yet there's always this forward-moving momentum and intention within the scenes, right? It's not like HBO where they sit back and really take their pauses and times. There's a lot of things that happen in every episode, right?
Absolutely.
But the acting is fantastic, and it still has to stay grounded while still having this forward-moving momentum without it being overdramatic.
Oh yeah.
Which is hard to do. I think a lot of actors tend to underestimate how hard that is, and I've seen this a lot. I've studied different styles and genres, and sometimes in acting class, I mean, there's all different kinds of classes, but I've been to some classes where, for a good reason, they really get the actors to take their time with everything and explore the beats, which is fine. I think actors need to learn how to do that, to be able to relax and not rush through, because green actors tend to rush through everything, right? But then sometimes actors get into a pattern of just taking their time through everything and just beats everywhere, and it doesn't fit the material. You get an audition for, like in Toronto, there's a show called Suits.
Oh yes, I'm very familiar.
If you go into an audition for Suits and you're just taking pauses between every line, the note you will get every time is, can you just pick it up a bit and throw it away?
Well, I think that just comes with your homework, because if it's a show that's already up, then you must know the tone already. Exactly.
That's more what I was talking about. Just be familiar with the tone, right? And some actors, and you have to practice it, being able to still have all your thoughts and intentions and whatever the character's doing, and all the thoughts and everything, but have this constantly forward-moving momentum. Because also, if you're auditioning not for the lead, which might be the case, they'll get the close-up reaction from the lead. So that pause that you're giving, they're not going to get it off you. They want you to drive the story, so then they can get the reaction from the lead, right?
Absolutely. You're the setup, not the punchline.
Yeah, so it's just important to be aware of what your part is in the whole puzzle.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's just guest star training.
Right.
Learn how to be a good support.
Yeah. I think there needs to be a little more emphasis on that in classes as well, because for a good reason. Like I said, a lot of classes do contemporary theater, or they really get actors to explore all the beats and everything, but then actors also need to be trained to just how to audition for different TV shows, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. What should a new stand-in absolutely not do?
There's so many things.
Show up on time, right? Don't be late.
Yeah, just be a good employee. Show up on time. Bring. Color matching is a fairly new concept. I know a lot of stand-ins who have been in the game for a lot longer, they refuse to do it, but they're just more established. So if you're new, show up early. Enjoy your breakfast. Bring a couple of different shirts, so that you can color match your actor's costume, or try to figure it out beforehand if you can contact the wardrobe department or the other stand-ins. Get a feel for the scene, even though you're not saying the lines, because that's a completely different contract. familiarize yourself what the scene is about. So if something changes on set, you know why.
Yeah.
I would say the most important thing, though, is know what your union requires of you as a stand-in. There are a lot of newer individuals who aren't quite certain, I was one of them, of what production can and cannot ask of you.
Okay.
Because when I was first starting it, not my first stand-in job, but one of the ones that came after, I was asked to read off camera lines.
Right.
And
That's
that's a
not your job.
no, exactly. It's a completely different contract. And I had a friend of mine tell me, no, you're not allowed to do that. You don't have to do that. Or if you do, if production insists on it, it must be a different contract. So really learning the fine print of it all, so that you know what your rights are.
And how can they do that? How can they learn the fine print?
There is a meeting on September 18th, 2018, at the union office to go over, it's a new members orientation, but anyone can go. Yeah. And you can discuss all of the contract points. You can ask questions, and I believe, if there isn't, there should be an online database for all of the union rules.
Great.
Because to make our union stronger, everyone has to know what's going on. That's why IATSE is so strong. It's because each of the members know what is expected of them for the most part. And if there was one particular set, I won't name it. I was on, and there was one of the ADs believed something else than the other AD who they were swapping episodes, and the contracts weren't lining up for each episode. One episode, the crew members were getting paid less than the others, and it was like instant. 669, 891, they came together, talked to the union heads, and made a change and like implemented it. And I don't think there's that same strength in UBCP ACTRA. So like with our YEAA committee, we are addressing young actors issues. And today we had a meeting at the union office this morning, and we were really addressing how we can, as young emerging actors, make our union stronger, and how we can use the rules of the union to teach each other, and use them to make ourselves more recognizable as a force not to be reckoned with. Like we can really make this work and get the rights we deserve and have paid our dues for if we know how to enforce them ourselves and know who to ask for help if we are on set and an issue comes up. And you need to contact someone who can go to bat for you, because that's what the union is there for. They are there to protect us with like unsafe matters on set, or if we're asked to do something further on set. So really get to know like the rules of the union, and if you're unsure, there are always people available to ask. Yeah, myself included.
Yeah.
Come to YEAA.
I mean, I 100% agree. And as you know, I work in Oslo, and that's I find I'm new to Vancouver still, but I found just this year the union's really pumped up its activities in terms of having more representation. Oh yeah, it's awesome. Whether it's all through all the committees or just having more representation on set and whatnot. And it's very important. Like you said, the other crews have their own unions, and they have such a strong representation, and they have a voice, and performers sometimes don't. Right? So that's something I wanted to talk to you about. So you already mentioned YEAA, which is the Young Emerging Actors Assembly. Yes, can you just give us a quick blurb on what? Sorry, go ahead.
It's different than Toronto's. We actually have a different name. It's both YEAA, but it's Young Emerging Artists Association.
Okay, right.
But that's just Vancouver versus Toronto. So YEAA is a very well established program in Toronto. Like someone said today at the meeting that they have thousands of members. I don't know what the exact quote is, whereas we have 24. Which is
fast growing.
Fast growing. We had 4 when I joined, so it's super. It's a really passionate community. And
who is eligible to join?
So any union members that would be apprentice up to full, who are or play between the ages of 17 to 35.
Oh, it's 35. I thought it was 30.
It was. Yeah, that was just updated today.
Oh, okay,
actually.
Cool.
So just like to because it was just an odd cutoff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so any union members who want to develop themselves in the industry, who are uncertain of what direction they'd like to go, and just to network more, because we focus on three major directions of education, creation, and collaboration. So what that means is we bring in a lot of industry professionals, and they do talks, and there are a lot of producers, like independent producers, who are also actors who come and who are very passionate about developing their own projects. So, like just today, there was an actress in the meeting who is developing her own play, and was then directed to how to get more actors for. Like, it was just like such a fire team.
Yeah.
Like everyone, there was an answer for everything, and it came from, and there's always new faces there.
Right.
So you don't have to feel like intimidated. You're coming into like this exclusive group of people who have been there. Like, there were more new faces today than seasoned. Seasoned. The committee's only been
faces,
up for like 4 months. But like we're developing a short film together, and so we're learning how to produce and direct and how a film comes together. Which one of the
so that's a create part of
correct. So, and one of the cool things about it, there's Matt Alfonso is in the group, and he is a very technical actor, and the way that he understands how every department on set works. And like him and I, we were co-starring on an indie film on Tuesday, and there was a moment he's like, "No, you can't walk that way because you're gonna screw up your lav." And I was like, "Oh, I wasn't even thinking about my microphone." And he was like, "Yeah, sound."
Does he work in sound?
No.
Oh, he's
so like widespread intelligent. Like, he understands the dynamics of lighting and of sound, and how he can make himself technically better, and people love working with him because he caters to each department. And so that's what we're trying to do, to educate the group about how set works. So although you're in the union, perhaps you don't have that much set experience. You have your credits, but you're still a little nervous about approaching set. So it's just like, it's the time to make all the mistakes and ask as many questions, and really collaborate with people. Like, there's not one person in the room who knows everything, and there's not one person in the room who knows nothing. Everyone has something to contribute, and for the areas that you are uncertain about, there is going to be someone in the room who knows where to point you, what direction for you to head in. So it's so much fun, and I love going every week. And we actually have another meeting next week. Okay. But we are possibly going to have that hijacked by an industry professional day. So we're going to bring 2 or 3 individuals in to chat about their areas of the industry. So we're just waiting.
Do you know yet who you're bringing?
No, Neith is working on that. But if not, we're having our meeting, so anyone is welcome to come. It usually happens every Thursday. The union, if you are a union member, they send out an email and a text blast for it. But right now, each meeting is 10:30 on Thursday morning.
So Thursday mornings, 10:30 till 12:30, right?
Correct.
Okay, at the UBCP Actor office on, what is it?
West
3rd
2nd.
West 2nd.
But park on 3rd.
Park on 3rd. Great. What are some other events that are coming up for YEAA?
We're going to do a fundraiser for our film, and then for our following films, we're going to do grant writing seminars, so we can.
Oh, great!
But for our first one, we didn't have time to write a grant. So during the VIF festivities, we are working on. Oh, pardon me. We are working on having. It's called a social mixer. Okay. We're working to change that, but it's a bar night, so it's going to be super fun. All industry professionals, and we'll have raffles and different events within.
Great.
It's going to sound way cooler than what I just said.
Is there a date yet?
Not yet.
Okay, it'll be around VIF, which is, when is it? End of September?
End of September, first week of October.
Okay, great.
So
do you have to be a union member to attend that mixer? At
this point, I believe so.
Okay. We'll clarify that.
But yeah, we'll clarify that. It actually hasn't been discussed, but I believe
Okay.
like people can bring guests as
Okay.
well. And the tickets are going to be $20 to $25, and it's all going to the YEAA committee so that we can bring in educators and continue to build films so that we can continue to educate ourselves about the process of filmmaking.
Yeah.
But it should be a fun night. It will definitely be worth your while to come and to meet other filmmakers and other actors, and just it's going to be like the same as our meetings, just in a cocktail dress attire.
That sounds nice. Everyone
Yeah.
likes a nice industry party.
Absolutely, and right in the heart of VIF.
Yeah.
Like, it's just going to be off the chain.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Can't wait. So stay tuned for exact date, but around VIF.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I want to end the episode on a question that I like to ask all my guests. What are some unique challenges / setbacks / some people react strongly to the word failure. I love that word because I think you learn way more from your failures than successes if you take the time to reflect on them, right? So yeah, tell us something along those lines that you've really grown from.
Yes. Okay. So the first thing that came to mind was around the time where I was leaving Los Angeles and coming back to Vancouver. And I did not come back willingly. Oh no. I was deeply rooted in Los Angeles. I did not want to leave. I believed all the stereotypes that America was stronger than Canada, and I did not respect my first year coming back to Vancouver. I was angry, and all I wanted to do was get my O1 and get back to the States as fast as possible. But it was because I was so disrespectful to what Vancouver had to offer that I didn't achieve what I wanted to in my first year back here. And it was once I settled in and really saw the value in each corner of Vancouver, it started to happen. I started to get work, and I started to go on my auditions, and I started to connect, because people can feel that energy. If someone doesn't want to be there, yeah. And I was that individual. I was like, I just want to go to Los Angeles, and my time here is limited. And it was.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, I really am ashamed of my attitude.
No, don't
during
be.
That time.
You learn from it, right?
Absolutely, and because of that, I just relearned how phenomenal Vancouver is as a city and as an industry, and I really enjoy my time here, and I'm really starting to get back on navigating this part of the industry. And although I have my connections in Los Angeles and still draw from them,
sure,
I am finding that I'm working just fine up here.
Yeah.
And it's really a fabulous city to establish yourself in. I mean, I haven't worked in Toronto before or really spent much time there, but if it's in, like, this is for newer actors, established actors, whatever, if you have the opportunity to go and live in any of the other 3 cities, well, depending on where you're from, if you can live and work in Vancouver, live and work in Toronto, live and work in New York, live and work in Los Angeles, and really get a taste for what is your city, because every city has something new to offer, right? So really respect each city for what it is, and don't go in with any stereotypes in your head.
Yeah, that's
That said, I have fallen in love with pushing Canadian content, and although I think about Los Angeles and all the lessons I learned there, my passion is fully directed towards making our domestic industry strong, and not allowing us to rest on the fact that maybe the world thinks of Canada as second fiddle to the U.S., because it's not the case. There are such talented individuals here, and we don't need to draw from the States.
Yeah.
And that, one day it might not even be a possibility.
Exactly.
With the forecast of the political forecast right now.
Right.
So.
And also just the dollar and all the financial.
So many
factors, right?
Yeah. I mean, even technicians, they have to think about one day. Well, maybe the switch will flip.
I mean, listen, to me, that's just an overall philosophy in life,
Sure.
to not be dependent on someone else.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So,
Because people have their own, I mean, this is just a life thing. People will do what they want to do and what they have to do. And
oh yeah.
you have to be self-sufficient, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, you're an artist. Why did you become? I always try to think about, why did you start doing this, right? I mean, hopefully you didn't start because you just wanted to be on XYZ show. You started because it was the joy of performing.
I really wanted to be on Hannah Montana, the Disney Channel.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I was an 11-year-old girl when that came out, though. So. I digress.
That's okay.
Well,
I'll give you that one.
Okay, thank you.
But I mean, listen, I love that you said that. And that's why this is my favorite question, because, I mean, first of all, like, kudos to you for taking the time to reflect on that and growing from it, because I've encountered that attitude a lot as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, no one city is better than the other. First of all, like what you said about the energy, it's 100% true. The energy manifests itself into how you work and your interactions with other people, and people pick up on that. And secondly, even just from perspective of the work, it's just not true, because I hate it when actors say, well, in LA, they don't hold their sides. In LA, they do this and they don't do that. It's not a city thing. It's an individual thing.
Absolutely.
You can do whatever you want, whatever works for you. That's what you should do. There's no LA standard.
No.
Most of the best actors are from around the world.
Yeah.
Right? Most of the top actors don't even live in California. They live in a ranch somewhere in Kansas. Morgan Freeman lives in, I don't know, Tennessee or something.
All right.
Right?
He didn't get a start in Tennessee, though.
No, he didn't. He did have to go there, but you don't have to be in LA.
No. I actually, I was talking to one of my friends who's from Vegas but lives in LA now, and I was in my house in Maple Ridge. It was a particularly rainy day, and I was frustrated. I was like, oh man, you are in a glorious city and I am in the middle of nowhere, Maple Ridge. Like, she's like, I don't even feel like I'm in the middle of it. Like, she's literally in North Hollywood. And she was like, I feel like the middle of it is online.
Yeah, I mean, listen, yeah, of course. I mean, it's still kind of the center for a lot of entertainment, but it's just because of taping these days, right?
Sure.
They tape actors from around the world anyway.
Oh, they're so good at eco-casting. Like, they really started hammering it for most auditions when I lived there. So, like, they took so many cars off the road for the initial run, and then for callbacks, it would be an in-person deal.
Yeah, and I think it's just like what I guess my point is also, because of technology, you can do whatever you want to do wherever you are. You don't, and a lot of people just attach this extrinsic factor to Los Angeles just because they're on the street in Los Angeles next to the Hollywood sign on top of the canyon there, that they're somehow better, or they've made it. Come on, I mean. Well,
there is something about like the energy of the city. Like, I bring up La La Land because it came out just after I moved back, and I kid you not, I've watched it 19 times.
Sure, I
something about it, man.
Yeah, there's a little bit of romanticism attached to that. I'm of the belief that you can do whatever from wherever.
Absolutely.
And yeah, it's just, you don't need, that to be there physically all year round to make it or whatever.
You don't. It's just an excuse. If it's like, oh, I would be doing better if I was.
Yeah, exactly.
No, if you're talented, you're talented. If you're talented, you're gonna get picked up. And talented, in my definition, means hardworking. You're a good employee. You're gonna get work if you go for it and you do the hard stuff. You had this great quote, I think, in one of your first or second podcasts on this series. It's like, you can't get the gold if you don't eat the shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
I laughed
also,
out loud.
You have to get addicted to the process. I mean, it's a cliche, but it's just true.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be tough,
true.
no matter what stage you're at.
And because there's no end, right? What's the end? What's the end goal?
For me, or just in general, hypothetically speaking?
Sure, for you. That's good. That's good that you don't have one end goal, because
keep doing this forever.
Yeah, and just keep getting better every day.
Absolutely. Yeah, never.
I mean, I keep talking. You probably heard me go on about this, but I think people should, like, actors or artists should study athletes, the top athletes, the elite.
Yeah.
They're not satisfied winning like 7 titles.
No, I loved your analogy with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah, I mean, look at that guy, right? It's funny actually. It's a slightly off topic, but not really. Another guy I really listen to a lot is Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you heard of him. He's an entrepreneur.
Okay.
But again, he what I love is he preaches hard work and not any kind of secret sauce, right? And one of the things he says is like he always asks people who their favorite sports team is, right?
Sure.
Whatever, hockey, whatever sport you're interested in.
Calgary Flames.
Flames, yeah. Why Flames?
I don't watch hockey. My boyfriend's from Calgary.
Okay, but his point is, if their answer is just the winning team and not their local team, then that's something you got to look into. Are you just like Are you a bandwagoner, or are you someone who loves to kind of build up?
I see.
You know what I mean? Because if you're just jumping, it is true. And at first, I thought that's a flippant example, but I'm like, that's kind of true. Do you just jump on bandwagons, or do you believe in like working from the ground up? Because there's something to that.
Yeah.
Right. And the analogy that I draw, I mean, I follow mostly soccer, football, or combat sports.
Sure.
And I mean, in soccer, I don't know how much football you watch, or.
I don't watch sports. Let's just start there.
Okay, but yeah, for me, you know, if you look at football, it's Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi who have been the best players for the last 10 years. And Messi's probably the more naturally talented. When you say natural talent, you can just see like he is probably just by an inch, like naturally talented. But Ronaldo's the one who's just worked to overcome that slight lack of talent.
Sure.
So I just naturally, I kind of gravitate towards people who've shown that just through hard work you can make up for any lack of anything.
I like that. Very cool.
Because it's possible.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love that it's possible. Like no matter, like if someone had told me like this untalented like lanky kid at the back in like the 5-year-old's like dance class, like that you can do it. You just have to focus. Anything is it's such like it's a bunch of cliches in a sentence, but it's
true.
so true. Like acting is not this mysterious like industry. Like you just have to navigate it and take the time to understand it and go through all the hard stuff. And maybe your family doesn't get it. Maybe your circle of friends doesn't get why you're not making very much money this year. But if you're loving it, it's so possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just goes back to it. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint. You know, just keep doing it. Keep getting better. It's also like for me, we're really going off topic here, but
I love it.
Once you get me going on this, I've had like major breakthroughs personally in the last 2 years, I would say.
Okay.
And it all stemmed from something that I think a lot of artists have to grapple with, which is validation and other people's point of view. Of course, and I still struggle with it. Everyone does. You want people to like your work or what they think of it. That's important. It's important to get good criticism from people who know what they're talking about. But outside of that, I really don't care. I just don't care. The voice in my head is way louder than anyone else's voice.
Very good.
And not to say that your voice is not important. Everyone's voice is important. But you got to make sure, you got to work to make sure the voice in your head is louder than any other voice. Because I think that's also when you do your best work.
Absolutely. Well, okay. So I come from a discipline. Like I know you've danced as well, but like I come from undying discipline where I am very coachable.
Right.
Like I work well with direction. Like I know where I lack as an actor, and I can understand direction very well. So I find that I do well in taking in all of the information available and then evaluating it. Like I'm not a very outspoken person. I love being in a group environment, which is why I love YEAA, because like I'm not the one that's like, yeah, I'm a co-chair, but I'm not the one that's hammering out the points. It's so collaborative, and that's where I thrive. I need a lot of information so that I can pick from it, because I don't have that individual thought process where I know what's best for me. I don't know. I'm still learning.
Yeah, no, I don't mean that you put up blinders and don't listen to people. 100%. You need it's. I think something else I've heard is like you need to kind of be able to operate under contradictions. So 100% you need to learn, right? So you need to be very open and get feedback and constructive feedback. What I meant by make the voice in your head stronger than any other external voice is the voice of self-belief.
Oh, I see. Yeah, totally. Oh no,
Yeah, no, I don't mean you're arguing about how a scene should be done and the coach is directing you one way and you're like, well, nah, that's not how I see it in my head. Absolutely not. I mean, that goes back to your job there is to follow the direction.
Sure.
I just mean in the overall scheme of things, of self-belief.
Yeah.
Because in the industry is tough. There's a lot of rejection and there's a lot of people have agendas is what I've realized as well.
Like
I mean, everyone has their own agenda sometimes, right?
yeah. I feel like agenda is such like a taboo word. Like
no, I don't mean
thinking.
schemy. People are not necessarily schemy.
Okay. Yeah,
but
that's what I thought.
You know, it's I don't know. It's just you gotta believe in yourself, and I just mean overall.
Like you mean like in the way that like if you go into a casting and they didn't pick you, it's not because of you.
I'm not even talking about that. That is that's too micro. I'm talking more macro. 100%. Like I think I don't mean that you. You go on audition and it's there. They'll pick whoever they want. That's fine, and that's total respect, right?
Sure.
I just mean, when you want to start your own project and people might not believe in it, you have to have that unwavering belief.
Yeah.
I operate two businesses as well. Like I run a self-tape studio and I've had a lot of good learning experiences through there, So that's what I mean. If you have a company that you're building, people might not think that's the right thing, but if that's what you want to do, you have to have that unwavering belief. So I mean more macro in that
I
perspective.
See. Cool. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. Oh, that's, yeah. So cool. Well, like this is just like, this is your third business or your first business and then you have two businesses. Like, it's just like.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see this as a business, but it's just.
I see the acting industry as a business?
Oh, no, the podcast. I thought you meant the podcast.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it was totally non-specific. No, like being an actor, like that was.
100%.
Yeah, like really, like a lot of people, like I had this one friend who was like when I moved back from LA and he was like, yeah, I don't do any, like I just wait for my agent to, I'm like, I was like, why aren't you going to casting director workshops? Why aren't you like promoting yourself? He's like, oh, that's my agent's job.
Yeah.
I was like, who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Like no one, like no one unless you know their name and face can afford to do that. Like it's so grassroots. You have to treat it so seriously if you want to get somewhere.
Right. It's just yeah. It's so as I was mentioning, just. I don't know how you get there, like, and it's a constant process, but just having that, like, when you kind of develop that, like, self-driving belief, then you just roll with the punches wherever they come from, and then it doesn't matter. You just keep going.
Yeah.
So, whatever that is for you.
Anyway. I think it's unique for everyone.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was super fun.
Yeah.